Did you know that you could read all the magazines you love in one place and without limits? On Zenio Unlimited, with more than 5,000 titles to choose from, more than 25 different categories, there's something for everyone. You can use it on the web or app for iOS and Android, create your own library, customize your reading experience with your own personal style, and even read offline. Visit ZenioUnlimited.com to get your 30-day free trial now and start reading. That's ZenioUnlimited.com.
Welcome to the Tech Mobility Podcast.
I'm Ken Chester. Last month, and it's a little Tesla news, Tesla unexpectedly introduced something that they call Actually Smart Summon. And the updated feature allows owners to send a vehicle to a location of their choosing. With this story, it appeared in Automotive Dive last month. They gave a link to a YouTube posting of a vehicle actually being summoned and driving through a Costco parking lot to its destination. To be honest with you, it was a little creepy to see it work its way around cars, turn the signals on to make a left turn, stop, see a person navigate around a truck. All of this was happening in real time in a real Costco parking lot somewhere in the United States. Tesla is not necessarily alone because they have what they call Actually Smart Summon, and that's what that was, where you could instruct the vehicle to go to a location. And then they've got what they call Dumb Summon, a feature that enables owners to move their Teslas forward or backward with controls in the automaker's app. And both functions lurk with the latest versions of the Tesla mobile app. I'm here to tell you, believe it or not, when it comes to Dumb Summon, Tesla wasn't first. Actually, Hyundai, Genesis, and Kia has something called Smart Pack. And if you hear a little Boston accent, it's how they launched it when they introduced it a few years back with folks using a Bostonian accent. I'm originally from New England, so I was tickled to death to be able to say, instead of Smart Park, which y'all would say, we would say Smart Pack. So it was fun, and it's memorable, which is why I remember it. And I've actually used it in a test in various Genesis cars and Hyundai vehicles since it was introduced, to pull vehicles out, more almost like a parlor trick to show folks, to say, hey, watch this, and have the car actually come out of its spot without me in it. But like Tesla's program for their Dumb Summon, the Hyundai and Kia and Genesis, you do have to hold the key. You have to lock it, start it, and then hold the key either forward or backward so the vehicle either comes out or goes in, which is really great if you are in a metropolitan area where you need to park in a very tight spot where opening a vehicle door is a problem. Cool, though. I'm not sure I would use it, because I live in the Midwest and it's less of a problem here, but I could see where it would be an issue. Tesla's Smart Summon, they claim, should only be used in parking lots or driveways. And they said, as a safety feature, users have to hold down the button in the app to get their Tesla to move, or it will stop if and when they release. Smart Summon, that kind of works against Smart Summon to me. And Tesla's tested this. And the thing is, you've actually seen it in a movie already. If you watched one of the Iron Man movies, Richard Downey Jr.'s character as Tony Stark has summoned his Audi to come to him from somewhere else. So you've seen the concept. But this supposedly is in real life. My concern, Tesla's full service autonomous, or FSD is what they're calling it. Full self-driving. Their self-driving tech has been under investigation by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. That autopilot really poor choice of words. I mean, from a marketing standpoint, it's genius. Unfortunately, it gives people and has given people a self-sense of, oh, this is really autonomous. When, oh, no, really, it's not autonomous. And there's been accidents and issues with that, where people who needed to be paying attention didn't pay attention, the thing hiccuped, an accident was caused. And in a few cases, lives were lost. The release of Actually Smart Summon and Dumb Summon is one step closer to the Musk vision of unsupervised full self-driving, or what they call FSD. With version 12.5 beginning rollout, we think customers would experience a step change improvement in how well supervised full self-driving works, he said, and the transition to unsupervised FSD can unlock massive potential. Somehow I think that the federal regulators are going to step in before he gets to do that, particularly since supposedly supervised has been a problem. And not one or two. They've been investigating Tesla now for a few years because of incidents and accidents. One, people thinking it was totally autonomous when it wasn't. And two, where even engaged, there was an accident caused. The question was, did the semi-autonomous system cause the accident either because of an oversight or didn't recognize something or thought it recognized something and freaked out? We're heading this way. But what's going to be the real issue for autonomous driving as a personal private vehicle, not the robo-taxis, but a personal vehicle that you're going to park in your driveway or have parked in your driveway maybe someday, will be federal and state regulations. Right now, there is a patchwork of state regulations. That's not going to work for auto manufacturers and their lawyers and their accountants. That's absolutely not going to work. So you can expect as they get closer to working out the kinks with a personal vehicle having full autonomous capability, look for increasing pressure from the industry to develop federal guidelines as to safety, performance, minimum standards of what it will and will not do, what it will do if it's hacked. There's just a bunch of little things they need to spell out, so that people know what to expect, what insurance companies know what to expect. Because when these roll out, and it's been said, it goes more from an accident-based, user-based system to a product problem system or product deficiency or failure system, where the automakers will be liable directly if their autonomous system fails, as opposed to a customer getting into an accident. So we'll see how that works out. But I wanted to share that with you. But no, Tesla was not first. That was Hyundai, Kia, and Genesis, the Hyundai group, with Smart Pack. That was first in terms of their dumb summon. No, Elon, you got beat that time. Somebody else actually came out with it before you did. Time for me to rage a little bit in the time we have before the break. Chrysler lineup to grow with 3 new EVs. Acknowledge that Stellantis has been starving Chrysler for years and FCA before that. They're down to 1 vehicle now. And I wonder, seriously, with everybody coming into the market with all sorts of amazing product, is this too little too late? And then the bigger question, did Stellantis and Fiat Chrysler squander all the goodwill and all the definition of what the Chrysler brand used to mean? People coming into the marketplace now have very little knowledge of what Chrysler is. They're going to have to spend a lot of money to even build a brand, build brand awareness, try to define what it is. And I don't believe that the new EVs will have that connection to the past necessary, where there are people still around that remember what Chrysler was. But they expect to bring 3 new EVs to market between now and 2028. An electric crossover, some kind of conversion of Pacifica or a renamed minivan, which will still be in the mix. My question is, with them being out of the market for so long, is there any room for them? It's a question I've been asking a lot lately of automakers who are spending way more money and still have product in the market, and they're going to have challenges. I don't know if there's going to be any room for Chrysler. I really don't, because the dealers don't have anything to do right now. Oh, well. AI is being used in almost everything. Learn how it's being used to chase away geese. You are listening to the Tech Mobility Show.
Are you tired of juggling multiple apps and platforms for meetings, webinars, and staying connected? Look no further than AONmeetings.com, the all-in-one browser-based platform that does it all. With AON Meetings, you can effortlessly communicate with clients, host virtual meetings and webinars, and stay in touch with family and friends, all in one place and for one price. Here's the best part. You can enjoy a 30-day free trial. It's time to simplify your life and boost your productivity. AONmeetings.com, where innovation meets connection. Get started today and revolutionize the way you communicate.
Social media is the main place to be these days, and we are no exception. I'm Ken Chester, the Tech Mobility Show. If you enjoy my program, then you will also enjoy my weekly Facebook videos. From my latest vehicle reviews to timely commentary of a variety of mobility and technology-related topics, these short features are designed to inform and delight you. Be sure to watch, like, and follow us on Facebook. You can find us by typing the Tech Mobility Show in the search bar. Be sure to subscribe to our Facebook page. Social media is the place to be these days, and we're no exception. I'm Ken Chester of the Tech Mobility Show. If you enjoy my program, then you will also enjoy my weekly Instagram videos. From the latest vehicle reviews to timely commentary on a variety of mobility and technology-related topics, these short features are designed to inform and delight you. Be sure to watch, like, and follow us on Instagram. You can find us by typing the Tech Mobility Show in the search bar. For those of you that listen to podcasts, we have just the one for you. Hi, I'm Ken Chester. Tech Mobility Topics is a podcast where I upload topic-specific videos each week. Shorter than the full show, these bite-sized programs are just the thing, particularly if you're interested in a particular topic covered on the weekly radio show. From Apple Podcast to iHeartRadio and many podcast platforms in between, we got you covered. Just enter Tech Mobility Topics in the search bar wherever you listen to podcasts.
The new generation four-wheel drive Suzuki Vitara is the ideal first choice for your other car. It'll go with your Mercedes. It'll go with your Porsche or Volvo. It has power windows and power steering like your Audi. It's a cabriolet like your BMW. It even goes with your Jaguar. Suzuki Vitara, like no other, it's your ideal other car.
Yeah, the second car that you take to get groceries or to run errands when you don't want to take the luxury car into town. Interesting that Suzuki, a second-tier Japanese automaker, would market this as a second car for an affluent family. Interesting choice of marketing and positioning. Hard to say if they were successful or not, but I will tell you this. As you well know, Suzuki does not sell vehicles in America anymore. The last vehicle they did was actually a rebadged Nissan Frontier, and they gave that up now 12 years ago in 2012. They threw the towel in. They actually made, towards the end of their sales run in America, they actually built a pretty cool sedan called the Kizashi, I believe is the proper name. I've driven one. It was an amazing car, but too little, too late. They didn't have the marketing money. They didn't have the ability to ramp it up. And I would be surprised if anybody even owns one now. I haven't seen one in years, but they didn't sell that many, which is really too bad because it was a really great car. So much for Suzuki. The Riverside Boat Club is a rowing club with a dock on the Charles River in the heart of Boston. In recent years, the organization has been in a battle to prevent local waterfowl from besmirching its docks with their droppings. A retired engineer came up with a low-cost AI system to solve the problem. This is topic A. Artificial intelligence. It's everywhere. Folks are putting it in everything. We've talked at length about how AI is being infused some everywhere. In this case, it's not a company or a corporation or even a group of researchers. It is a guy who rows, who belongs to a rowing club. If you've been in New England, you've been in Boston, rowing up and down the Charles River, which is a major river that separates Boston and Cambridge, is a big deal. MIT has a team, Harvard has a rowing team, and this is a group of private citizens, the Charles River Rowing Club, the Riverside Boat Club. In fact, I know right where it is off of Sturrow Drive up on the Cambridge side. Used to pass it all the time when my dad used to drive into work down very narrow 4-lane Sturrow Drive, which was a white knuckle ride for other reasons that I will get into with you sometime. However, Canadian geese. They are a filthy bird. Let me tell you, they're a filthy bird. Now, I know some of y'all, some friends of mine even would say, well, why don't you just shoot the birds? End the misery. Trap, poison them, do all that stuff. Well, you know, that would be great except for one little problem. Did you know about the Migratory Bird Act of 1918? I bet you didn't. Guess what? Those birds that are leaving their droppings all over the place and making it icky poo in some places, it is illegal. It is against federal law to harm them. You can't harm them. You cannot kill them. You cannot poison them. It's against the law. However, you can harass them. You can harass them. They're pretty smart. So, if you can't kill them and you can't poison them and you can't otherwise do them in, what do you do to protect yourself from this avian menace? Other local boathouses had tried fencing out the geese, scaring them with kites and noisemakers, and even using motion sensors and water hoses to fend them off, mostly with little success. Several months now, the docks at the Riverside Club, a nonprofit with about 300 members, has been almost entirely free of goose poop. That makes launching the club's 1 to 8-person shells a simpler and vastly more pleasant operation, particularly in the pre-dawn darkness when many rowers prefer to exercise. So what did they do differently? Well, it gets down to a retired engineer by the name of Andy Roy. He's the one that came up with the low-cost artificial intelligence system to protect the docks at the Riverside Boat Club. Here's what he did. First of all, inspiration. His idea for an automated system came to him while gabbing with friends at the Dunkin', and that's New England short for Dunkin' Donuts, or if you're really into it, Dunkies. It just is. Sorry for y'all from New England. On Memorial Drive, which is on the Cambridge side of the river. Complaining about goose poop on the docks was a recurring topic. But Andy Roy's a devoted tinkerer. And he said one of the inspirations came from the Greg Kinnear movie, A Flash of Genius, about this true story of an invention of the intermittent windshield wiper. I was thinking about all the pieces that are out there, the 59-year-old said. It's how you combine them. Now, a couple of years ago, one of the members of his rowing club had installed a motion-activated sprinkler. And if a goose hopped on the dock at night, the sensors triggered the sprinklers to chase the birds away with strong jets of water. Problem: the rowers didn't like getting sprayed during the day and ended up covering the sprinklers with 5-gallon buckets. Well, guess what? When they got done in the evening to go home, they forgot to uncover them, and the birds had a field day. So what do you do? Roy recalled that during his career as a biomedical engineer, he once ginned up a facial recognition app to help him learn the names of new employees. He thought he could apply this kind of solution to the goose problem. So he replaced the motion-activated sprinklers, get this now, with cheap lawn sprinklers and cameras mounted on the second floor of the boathouse facing the docks. The cameras snap still images every few seconds, and an app connected on a Raspberry Pi computer looks for signs of motion. If the app detects motion in the photo, and this is the magic part, the image is uploaded to Amazon Web Services, where one of the cloud computing giant's AI image recognition program figures out the source of the motion. If the source was a person or a dog, or even other kinds of birds, the app does nothing, although a rower dressed in black and white was once misidentified as a penguin. But if the source was a goose, the app orders up a second picture to be sure, and then alerts the system to set off the sprinklers. You would think that this is an overly engineered solution, right? That costs a lot of money and like, oh my God, you got AI and computers and you're interfacing with Amazon Web Services. It's got to cost a small fortune. Would you believe? The cloud service costs fractions of a cent per photo analyzed and running the whole system for a month. You ready for this? Running this whole system for a month. $20. $20. The Geese have largely gotten the message. Sometimes they'll tempt the system by hopping up on the docks, but as soon as the birds hear the lawn sprinkler's unmistakable chunka sound, they depart before getting sprayed. And recently, the Geese have even tried swimming around the dock, hopping on from the backside, but the sprinklers are still smart enough for that. They still get wet. AI chases geese for $20 a month. Elegantly simple, horrifically cheap. Welcome to technology. And a tinkerer who had an inspiration to just modify a little bit what they were already using. And it works. And it's great. The rowers are happy. The birds are not harmed. Could vehicles of the future boast a full windshield video display instead of a dashboard? This is the Tech Mobility Show. Do you listen to podcasts? Seems that most people do. Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. If you've missed any of our weekly episodes on the radio, our podcast is a great way to listen. You can find the Tech Mobility Podcast just about anywhere you can enjoy podcasts. Be sure to follow us. From Apple Podcasts to iHeartRadio and many platforms in between, we are there. Just enter the Tech Mobility Podcast in the search bar wherever you listen to podcasts. Social media. It's the place to be, and we're no exception. Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. Several times a week, I post to TikTok several of the topics that I cover on my weekly radio show. It's another way to keep up on mobility, technology, news, and information. I've built quite a library of short videos for your viewing pleasure, so be sure to watch, like, and subscribe. That's the Tech Mobility Show on TikTok. Check it out. Hyundai Mobis, the mega supplier to Hyundai, Kia, and Genesis, wants to bring the big screen to the front seat with a full-width head-up display that stretches across the entire windshield. My question, is that a good idea? Is there any safety concerns? You know I got questions. This is topic B. Let me paint the picture for you. They're looking at a day when you will have all this information line of sight. Think of it as head-up display on steroids, only it's across all the lower part of the windshield. The immediate advantage is line of sight. Another advantage is way lower cost because if they're moving displays to the windshield, they're removing them from the dashboard. And I'm thinking, the more I think about this, the controls that you do need to do, you can either speak to the computer or would be steering wheel mounted, at least for now, until those days when you get to full automation. But I mean, I'm looking at it and it's a great idea on the one hand. Let me read a little bit about this. The technology lets passengers watch movies, take video calls, or play games on the full front glass while the vehicle data appears in the driver's line of sight. They call it the holographic windshield display, and is being developed by Hyundai Mobis in conjunction with German optical company Zeiss. The technology, which is already being demonstrated to customers, turns the entire windshield into a transparent infotainment and driving data display. They consider it the next generation evolution of today's head-up displays. The breakthrough comes from pairing a micro-thin windshield film developed by Zeiss with a downside projector system from Hyundai Mobis. The combination enables holographic images and video to be rendered on the front glass. The film's special properties also allow the system to shed the bulky lenses and mirrors used in traditional head-up displays. It also allows the automaker to do away basically with an infotainment screen in your center console and pretty much everything that is considered today's dashboard, all the information that you currently have in front of you in front of the driver, speed, tech, messages, settings, all of that stuff will now transition to the windshield. I got questions. For example, you heard the term special glass. You heard that. I know you did. So let's talk about the obvious. What about a rock crack? What about a damaged windshield? What happens when this windshield has to be replaced? What does that look like from an insurance standpoint? Are we talking now a windshield which will run you $500-$600 now, might run you $1,500 to $2,000 now? Where today, considered comprehensive, they will replace the windshield. Worst case, depending on your plan, you may have a deductible. Is that deductible now $1,000? And then who's going to install it and who's going to calibrate it? Is it still safe light repairs, safe light replace? Or are we going to need a whole different group of installers and repairers and replacers to be trained on how to deal with this? Because right now, even your sophisticated average windshield now does require some recalibration if it's got head-up display or if you've got a camera that looks out through the windshield, that has to be recalibrated. So there's a certain amount of that going on right now. But remember, this article talked about it's got a special film on the inside of the glass. That means that it is special glass. Special glass means money. The partners want to start mass production as early as 2027. And our concept is to use the windshield as a display for vehicles. And I'm looking at all kinds of stuff. And I haven't even started to talk about, okay, what is the take from the National Traffic Highway Safety Administration? What is the take from the IIHS, which is the safety organization, the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, that evaluates all this stuff? Is it safer? Does it present safety issues? What happens in case of, I don't know, inclement weather, all kinds of other things? What does this do to it? And what happens if it malfunctions? You have no information at all. Will the vehicle even run if it does not have this information transmitted to the screen so you can make decisions? As the automakers look to save money, which it will do for all the wiring and harnesses and readouts and displays that they no longer need to build into the dashboard, because they could just bring that stuff to the inside of the windshield. I mean, it looks really cool, but I have all these questions that worry me in terms of maintenance and cost. And we know, I mean, if you own a vehicle in the last 10 years, you have probably had at least one electrical challenge where you've had to take it to the dealer and either get something reprogrammed, replaced, or otherwise updated. What's this going to look like if this thing goes on the fritz? Because now all the information you need to run the car or SUV is in the windshield, but the windshield's on the fritz. So I don't know. I don't have a backup plan. Finally, what happens in case of an accident? Again, information, which would also include your infotainment system. Right now, if they're going that way, it's not OnStar, but they do have emergency situations. What's that default look like? You know, I mean, it's a great idea. It looks it looks really cool. What they say, what they claim, is that this technology brings big safety, design, and convenience advantages over current systems. I see design, I see convenience. Safety, I'm not sure yet. I'm not really sure yet. They claim it improves safety by enabling the driver to see all critical information without averting their eyes from the road ahead. Maybe. But again, is the driver literally going to really see the road, or are they actually reading what's in front of them? That's a question. Here's something that you may not realize. Video projected onto the passenger side is not visible to the driver. Okay, I'll accept that. They talk about a 90% transmittance, the images approaching complete transparency. You can see through it, is what they're talking about. They've alluded to this. I've alluded to this. The holographic display also allows for more creative open packaging of the cockpit by eliminating the need to install certain gauges or meters in the dashboard because they can be projected into a natural line of sight position. Also, a point that they make, all this stuff in your dashboard causes the dashboard to be so wide. Going to this cuts the width of the dashboard, the depth of it, in half. So theoretically, you're even closer to the windshield. What does that do for safety in the case of an accident? Because now you're closer, because they don't need all that space. So, they're talking 15 liters of volume as opposed to new system, 7 liters, which roughly half. I just don't know. I've got concerns about insurance. I've got concerns about safety. And we'll just have to see in crash tests and in evaluations that will come as this stuff starts to roll out. But I'm certainly hoping that NHTSA will weigh in before they even get built. Because, again, it's a great idea, but I see more concerns than I see advantages right now until the first ones get out. And it'll probably be 3 or 4 years before I even end up in a vehicle that has this, from what they're projecting right now, because they're talking the latter part of this decade. Should your car actively warn you that you're speeding? We are the Tech Mobility Show. To learn more about the Tech Mobility Show, start by visiting our website. Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. The website is a treasure trove of information about me and the show, as well as where to find it on the radio across the country. Keep up with the happenings at the Tech Mobility Show by visiting techmobility.show. That's techmobility.show. You can also drop us a line at talk@techmobility.show. Did you know that Tech Mobility has a YouTube channel? Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. Each week, I upload a few short videos of some of the hot topics that I cover during my weekly radio program. I've designed these videos to be informative and entertaining. It's another way to keep up on current mobility and technology news and information. Be sure to watch, like, and subscribe to my channel. That's the Tech Mobility Show on YouTube. Check it out.
Are you tired of juggling multiple apps and platforms for meetings, webinars, and staying connected? Look no further than aonmeetings.com, the all-in-one browser-based platform that does it all. With AON Meetings, you can effortlessly communicate with clients, host virtual meetings and webinars, and stay in touch with family and friends, all in one place and for one price. Here's the best part. You can enjoy a 30-day free trial. It's time to simplify your life and boost your productivity. aonmeetings.com, where innovation meets connection. Get started today and revolutionize the way you communicate.
Social media is the place to be these days, and we're no exception. I'm Ken Chester of the Tech Mobility Show. If you enjoy my program, then you will also enjoy my weekly Instagram videos. From the latest vehicle reviews to timely commentary on a variety of mobility and technology-related topics, these short features are designed to inform and delight you. Be sure to watch, like, and follow us on Instagram. You can find us by typing the Tech Mobility Show in the search bar. Okay, show of hands. How many of you, within the sound of my voice, have ever driven above the speed limit? Ever? Let me make this even better. How many of you have done it in the last 48 hours? Let me ask you this. Should your car actively warn you, and the key word there is actively warn you, if you're speeding? For at least the last 60 years, and I remember systems as a kid even, automakers have offered various speed monitoring and warning systems, off and on since the 1950s. My dad had a Pontiac Star Chief that had a literal eye, a pedestal with an eye pointed at the windshield where you set the cruise, or you set, well, in fact, I don't think his car had cruise, but you set the speed, and it would actually make a noise, an irritating noise, if you were above the speed limit. Apparently, he couldn't shut it off because he tried to tape over it. I remember that. And that was a 59 Pontiac. With the global rise in injuries and fatalities attributed to speeding, there's an effort to use the available technology to mitigate the problem. This is Topic C. if you're wondering about Europe, let me help you. They already have passed regulations that require new vehicles to do just that. Already. Speed assistance systems is what they call them. And the passive speed assistance is mandatory already in Europe. Let me give you an example here. There's active speed monitoring and there's passive speed monitoring. If you've owned a car, mid-range or luxury vehicle that you've bought in the last 5-6 years, you have a vehicle that probably has a speed limit warning on your dashboard that will passively tell you when you're speeding. The Lexus NX I am test driving right now has such an indicator. In the last year, I have driven vehicles that have also practiced active speed limiting, and I didn't like it. The vehicle was set at a speed. When the road that I was driving changed to a lower speed, without my intervention, the vehicle slowed down to the new posted maximum. I was not okay with that. And most Americans aren't. What they want to do, and California, again, leading the way, they want some sort of speed assistance warning standard in vehicles. In California's case, by 2030. Originally, the sponsor wanted to go active. And what they mean by active is the vehicle would slow down based on the posted speed limit. Let me help you with that. This is one time I agree with the industry. I can tell you for a fact that most of these are wonky. And why are they wonky? Because speed limit posting is not as consistent as you think it is in the United States. I have had vehicles post wrong speeds in areas that were completely different, either too slow or too fast, but wrong. And what bothered me is right now they're not connected to anything. But let's say they pass laws where they connect that information to what you get charged for insurance, or whether or not you are in violation, where it would automatically generate a ticket or something. Not okay. And typically it has real problems with on-ramps and off-ramps. It has problems in school zones. Those vehicles that recognize school zones don't recognize the fact of whether or not school is in or out of session, which is a shame because the vehicle already has time. It identifies time. It can correlate that, but they don't right now. So if I'm going through a school zone at 10 o'clock at night and I have one of these passive speed systems in it, it would register 25 miles an hour, although the active speed when school's not in session for that stretch of road is 35 miles an hour. They're slow to change. They don't always change because the roads, depending on where you're driving, are not always marked. Will it go to the default? Well, that depends where you're at. So me and the industry are kind of in agreement, but they want to go there. California wants to go there. And the fellow who sponsored the bill, he knew he'd get a little pushback. He got a lot of pushback. And if they proposed it here, they'd hear from me because the systems are not currently ready for prime time. And I've commented about that a lot in my reviews, where these vehicles that have these systems generally are not that accurate. And the only way they're ever going to get accurate is that cities and towns, states and municipalities are going to have to step up and properly identify speed limits everywhere, or agree on what a base speed limit is as a default. All of that is not clear cut and dry, and it really depends on state. Some states are better than others. Some states or counties even are worse than others. And I've noticed that just here in our state with just directions to towns, designation of highways, let alone speed limits. Now, the roads that I travel regularly, I know what the speed limits are, but there are a lot of roads I travel where I don't. This bill, and it's the first of its kind in the United States, would require all new cars sold in the state to warn drivers if they're going more than 10 miles an hour over the speed limit, which is pretty good because right now the vehicles that have the speed limit warnings, the passive warnings, identify the minute you go 1 mile an hour over. Now they're passive. They don't ding, they don't buzz, but they'll give you some sort of visual warning that you're speeding. And yes, California would be the first state in the country to mandate speed assistance technology starting with the 2030 model year. This worries me because as we move towards autonomous or semi-autonomous vehicles and they build that stuff in, right now, our infrastructure in the United States is not such that it is consistent with speed limits, identification signs, all of that stuff. Not nearly. And some of the counties in Iowa are downright sparse in terms of identification and information. I give you a case in point. There's a town 5 or 6 miles from where I am. It had a state highway designation. The state changed the highway designation and ended it in that town, but not out of that town going in the other direction. But they didn't replace it. I don't know if it's a county road, which is what they typically do. It's not listed. Or if it's just merely a street, it's out in the middle of the country. So how would the vehicle determine, 1, where you are, 2, what the speed limit is, and 3, what is appropriate? That's my problem. Me and the industry this time agree on this. It's not ready for prime time. Europe is much better at labeling and identifying speed limits and all kinds of highway infrastructure information. We've got a ways to go if you want these automated systems to work. And right now, we're not there, not as a country. And I'm not even sure California is there county by county. And I've driven California extensively. So yeah, I'm not with it. We've come to the end of our visit. Be sure to join me again right here next time. You have been listening to the Tech Mobility Show.
The Tech Mobility Show is a copywritten production of Tech Mobility Productions Incorporated. Any rebroadcast, retransmission, or any other use is prohibited without the written consent of Tech Mobility Productions Incorporated.
For those of you that listen to podcasts, we have just the one for you. Hi, I'm Ken Chester. Tech Mobility Topics is a podcast where I upload topic-specific videos each week. Shorter than the full show, these bite-sized programs are just the thing, particularly if you're interested in a particular topic covered on the weekly radio show. From Apple Podcast to iHeartRadio and many podcast platforms in between, we got you covered. Just enter Tech Mobility Topics in the search bar wherever you listen to podcasts. Social media. It's the place to be, and we're no exception. Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. Several times a week, I post to TikTok several of the topics that I cover on my weekly radio show. It's another way to keep up on mobility, technology, news, and information. I've built quite a library of short videos for your viewing pleasure, so be sure to watch, like, and subscribe. That's the Tech Mobility Show on TikTok. Check it out. To learn more about the Tech Mobility Show, start by visiting our website. Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. The website is a treasure trove of information about me and the show, as well as where to find it on the radio across the country. Keep up with the happenings at the Tech Mobility Show by visiting techmobility.show. That's techmobility.show. You can also drop us a line at talk@techmobility.show. Do you listen to podcasts? Seems that most people do. Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. If you missed any of our weekly episodes on the radio, our podcast is a great way to listen. You can find the Tech Mobility Podcast just about anywhere you can enjoy podcasts. Be sure to follow us. From Apple Podcasts to iHeartRadio and many platforms in between, we are there. Just enter the Tech Mobility Podcast in the search bar wherever you listen to podcasts.